Because there's the good ones, then there's like the Chinese knockoff ones, and we know you like Chinese knockoffs.
I love Chinese. They make the best stuff, dude.
From high fashion to egg chairs.
That's right. That's right.
Hey everybody, it's Matt. Wrestling with Whiskey is back. Another episode of Straight Shooting, and today a very special guest, one of probably my oldest compatriots that I've had on this show, that I've kind of since day one, early wrestling days for me anyway. Wrestler, of course, notorious slumlord, Twitch streamer, and the coach of the future generations of wrestling, which is both an exciting and kind of terrifying thought at some points. Everybody, please welcome the former Tyler Breeze, the always gorgeous Matt Clement. Matt, buddy, what's going on, man?
That's a good intro right there. I like
it. If there's one thing I learned over the year, it was how to, intro somebody else. So
you gotta intro somebody else. You know what I mean? But even you had me at the very special guest part. And then it was cool because you took me all over the place. It was some were like borderline insults, but I'm okay with it because it's from you. Yeah. And then other was just compliments. So I like it, man. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for having me on the deal here.
Yeah, dude. Excellent. Thank you for being here. I mean, first off, So we go way back to like my first day at FCW was the day you won the Florida Heavyweight Championship.
Nice, big day. Mike Dalton day.
Mike Dalton crowning moment.
It's which even funnier. I believe, I don't know if you were hired yet, but I remember going to the beginner show at FCW, and you were like one of the only dudes who could do anything, and I was like, oh man, we called you something. We were like, something Cesaro. You were like the NWO Cesaro or whatever. I think you just had like little black
Adidas little like Speedo shorts.
Yeah. And I was like, but you could do a drop kick and stuff. And I was like, okay, this kid's got a future. And then you were like at FCW like the next week or something. So I didn't know if they hired you immediately out of that or if like it was like a little bit later. But I remember because I saw you at the student show and then all of a sudden you were hired and I was like, oh, it's the guy, man. Cool.
Yeah, dude, that was like, I got hired like 6 months later off of like Norman's recommendation.
Yeah.
It was.
And like I said, dude, the rest of the class, I was like, all right, like clearly this guy's going to do all right. The others are not so much.
Yeah, that was a good, I did it for those. There is a video on YouTube where I do like a reaction to it. It's so funny. That was all when they would let you guys do commentary on those shows too.
Yeah.
So
so the whole reason why we were there, because normally like some people would go to watch the student shows. Yeah. But we went to watch because I believe Joe Maples, what was his name? Leroy something.
Yeah, Leroy Parks.
Leroy Parks was wrestling on the student show, and we all wanted to see it because it was like half a rib because he was just like a funny dude, and he ended up busting himself open and bleeding everywhere on it.
I heard about it. That wasn't my student show.
That wasn't the one?
No, I think because I heard about that because he got let go like the week I started.
Oh,
which was later, which was like 6-8 months later.
So he must have been the one like right after you or something. Then.
After or before? I heard that story though.
Maybe before, because maybe I went to that one first, saw that, and then they said another student show's coming up, and I was like, oh, I'll go and watch this one too, and then you were at that because I think I only went to maybe 2 of them, and it was that one and this one.
Yeah, because we didn't have any talent on our student show.
So it must have been. I bet it was the one before and the one after.
Probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are really funny. And young Bray Wyatt, Wyndham was on the commentary. Peter Orlov
was too.
Kozlov was on, and Dr. Tom was on.
Wow. That's right. I remember that. I remember the commentary booth because they were going crazy and it was great.
Yeah, it's really funny. I suggest people seek that out.
Yeah.
But back to you. How have you been? I kind of ask everybody this, like, how was your like COVID experience kind of thing. How was everything for you during the whole craziness of that?
So honestly, like it's weird. I mean, you could take it a couple different ways. Like I can't really weigh in on it because like how I am, and especially with like you know how it is like on the road. Like we were on the road like nonstop. So essentially, when I wasn't on the road, I've been quarantining for years. Like I just stay at home. I don't enjoy going out. I don't like crowds of people. So like I just sit at home and I made my house like exactly how I want it so that I don't ever have to leave here beside between like Amazon and Uber Eats and Instacart. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
So when all the pandemic stuff hit, I didn't notice a huge difference in my life, except I just didn't have to travel with work anymore. So then like and it sounds, you know, bad to say or whatever, but and I don't mean it like that, but when the pandemic hit, my life actually got a little bit better because I didn't have to travel and go to the airport anymore.
Yeah.
And with taking out the travel in the airport, like, yeah, I like waking up in my own bed and eating breakfast and enjoying my life in my house. And then at the time too, like I went back to NXT. Yeah, I was already in NXT when everything hit, so I would just drive like 20 minutes to Full Sail and then 20 minutes back, and like I did that once a week or whatever it was. And I went, this is awesome. Like
That's
I'm
the best
okay if we
schedule
never
ever.
go. Yeah, if we never travel again, I'm okay with it. So, you know, that really, like I said, for the most part, I didn't notice a huge hiccup in my life, which was very fortunate because a lot of people did. So I did not. And I'm very, you know, lucky that I didn't.
Yeah, no kidding. So like
Yeah.
what would you do with all the time?
Well, so it depends. Like I am very much not a vacation person or like a sit and do nothing person. So even like my version of sitting and doing nothing is still very, very busy. Because so as you mentioned, you know, ever so nicely at the beginning, um, you could call me a landlord or a slumlord, whatever you want. But I basically like I love real estate stuff.
Hmm.
I think it's very smart investments, and I enjoy the actual process of it. Once like the unknown is so crazy and can like freak people out, and so I kind of like knocked that down back in like 2015 when I bought a house, and I went, well, that was kind of easy. Like the process seemed so scary, and it seemed like you needed $1 million to buy a house, but you don't. And now all of a sudden I'm paying less a month than I was to rent. So this is weird because now I own this house. So then once I did that, I went, you know what? I'm going to buy another one. So then I bought another one. And then I was like, that was easy. And now these people are paying for not only this house that I just bought and paying me money on top, but now my mortgage is even less because now I'm using other people's money to pay for my stuff. I like the way this is. So then I just kind of rinsed and repeat. And it's like buy a house, have someone else pay the mortgage for it and pay off my mortgage. So now I'm like, this is fantastic. Why would I use my money when I could use other people's money? And now I'm just getting paid to own these houses, which I can because I'm getting approved to buy these houses, and it's not as scary as people think. So I just started racking them up. And so with that, obviously, when you buy stuff, some people they don't have the imagination, which I think it might go hand in hand with wrestling and stuff. Like if me and you are wrestling each other, and I go like, "Hey man, I'm gonna like whip you off the ropes," and you can imagine in your head like me whipping you off the ropes. Some people cannot. Some people actually physically have to grab your hand in the back and whip you like I'm whipping you in the match. I like if you look at a certain house, you can see like you can imagine what the house is going to look like when you redo the flooring or redo, you know, whatever you're going to do to it. And so I can walk in there and I can go, okay, yep, couple grand here and there. Yep, okay, cool, we're good. And other people will go like, this seems like a lot of work, and they'll kind of stay away from it. I'm not scared of that. So I'll kind of do it. I got a good team that like, as soon as we get something, hey, we're closing on this date. They're in there. They're already doing this. I got the materials ready. We're good to go. And they go in and they get it up and running and away we go. So with all the kind of real estate stuff going on, obviously I like being in charge and kind of like, I don't know if maybe I'd like to say I'm a little bit of a control freak because especially in like
Sure.
wrestling matches and stuff, I love putting the matches together and I love like being in charge of like, hey man, you got an idea? Cool. Let's put it here. Cool. And it's just like, you're like the artist at the easel. You know what I mean? Which I guess it translates over to everything else where, like I said, I got some real estate stuff on the go. We're back streaming. So like having streaming stuff. And even before, like we stopped streaming for a while. But I was still doing a lot of up, down, down stuff and a lot of like video recording and stuff like that. So that's always been kind of on the go. And then at the same time, like you mentioned, we got Flatbacks Wrestling School open where that takes up, 3 hours of my life, 4 days a week. And even then we have students who are like, hey, would I be able to come in and get extra? And we're like, yes, because you're actually like caring about this. So we have all the time of the day in the world for you. Where not only it keeps me in ring shape and training and stuff like that, but you're also helping the newer people who are hungry to kind of get where they want to go. And I've always liked the teaching part. I've always liked the teaching aspect of watching people, like watching the light bulbs go off is very, very rewarding. So like all of that stuff combined, it's like, okay, I need like a little bit of time. I say all the time to my girlfriend, like, I've kind of just been a zombie for the past like 10 years in the sense of like, if I sit down at any given moment, like I could probably fall asleep right now if I really wanted to. But also I could just keep going until like 2 a.m. So I'm never any more or less tired. I'm just always at the same zombie level.
Okay.
So, and that's just kind of how I operate. So, you know what I mean? Like, so with all that on the go, it's just kind of, you know, I just keep going and sometimes put too much on my plate. But I enjoy being busy and luckily I have enough hands in ventures that I can be busy.
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, yes. And to call back the preface, I call a breeze a slumlord. One, because it just pops me because it's just funny, and two, it's complete and utter jealousy that he just had the foresight to kind of jump in on that stuff so early. And no, it's totally a wise thing. And I always wondered because you were doing that before. Were you doing that before you and Dango started tagging?
Yes. Yeah. So I started as soon as like 2015 hit, which was right before I got called up. I bought my own first house and then I bought my first rental as well.
Right. Because he does a lot of real estate stuff, right?
He's been huge into it.
Yeah.
So like, he told me more about like, cause he's actually in the process of doing like a big house in Portland, Maine right now, like massive, like right in the middle of downtown, big tear down, big rebuild.
Yeah.
So, like,
I've seen his
big
pictures.
money
it's
stuff.
wild.
Yeah. And he does a lot of the stuff too, man. Like, cause you know, Dango, he's carny. So like, he's not going to pay some dude like, you know, $500 to do something. He's like, nah, I'm just going to hang out the window and like, you know, nail gun this thing. And it's like, Dango, like he'd show up every week and he'd be like, oh yeah, I put a nail through my hand. And I go, dude, like we need to work, man. Like just hire this stuff out. He's like, nah, we're good. Look at this is me hanging outside the building. I was like, okay. Like he loves it. And he taught me a lot about it, especially about like the buying and selling and like 1031 exchanges and like the stuff that you don't know until somebody teaches you. Yeah. And so he showed me a lot about real estate stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say that had to be a point of like bonding on that kind of thing for sure.
Big time. Big time.
Well, on that note, let's go ahead and let's crack open our first little deal here. So yes. I think I have these. Are these labeled ABC?
I got ABC.
All right, let's go with A.
Okay.
It might take you a hot second to unwrap these. I have hopefully it just kind of unpeels. It's
coming up, yeah.
I've had a couple of shipments arrive in not so fantastic shape.
I believe it. The mail service doesn't do you any favors when you're trying.
No. Well, also what doesn't do me any is crummy plastic bottles that I thought would work and didn't. And I've had a couple of people send me photos of soaking booze-soaked packages.
Glass is the way to go, man.
Glass. It's tried and true. So yeah, you only need a little bit into your Northern Glass, which I have actually lambasted on my whiskey YouTube channel before.
Why?
So, all right, this is my thing.
They're so cool. Look at it.
They do make cool glasses.
They're so cool.
So one thing, and though I will say those are fine. I will say this though, and not that you care, because you just like cool stuff, but
that's
like they're very overpriced for what they are.
Oh my God. 100%. I bought like 4 little glasses for like $200 or something, but Instagram got me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
They got me at the right time. I was moving into my house and I went, I need glasses. And it must have heard me. And all of a sudden it went, you want these cool black glasses? And I went, I do want them. And then it said, you probably want all this black silverware. And I said, I do. And then I bought all of it.
But the funny thing is, so that is it's a whiskey glass. It's designed for tasting scotch. You don't drink scotch?
I don't really drink like, so in the back, you can see I kind of have a bar over there.
Yeah.
It's got everything there. I just need like events or like occasions to drink what's in there.
Like this.
That's right. So, and like I said, like I don't hang out with a lot of people, or I don't have like a lot of these things going on to where people are coming over and we're just like sipping on scotch. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So which I would probably drink it. Like I'm not really like, I'm not against any alcohols, or I'm not like really for any of them. I'm okay with all of them. Yeah. But then I also, and you being a true like man of the alcohol, I feel like you'll look.
The alcohol.
I feel like you'll look down on it. But so, do you have like a K cup, like a Keurig coffee machine?
No, we switched to French press about a year ago.
See, that's what I figured you would. But it's because you're a learned doctor. You have the refined taste. So
Wow, a lot of words are getting thrown around here, none of which
that's
are
what
accurate.
happens.
but-
They're accurate. But so I have like a K cup machine where I put my coffee in and away I go. So little did I know, Keurig also makes a thing
No,
called
you didn't get
DrinkWorks.
it. No, don't tell me
It's
you
called
got that.
DrinkWorks,
Oh,
and I love it. I bought one of every damn flavored cup you can get, and they are delicious. They are the best. I knew you would judge it. I knew you'd look down on it because
hardcore. You know, I'm not even going to try to be nice anymore. Judge.
I love it. I love it.
Oh,
What are you in the mood for? A Long Island iced tea? Done.
the world's worst Long Island iced tea.
It's fantastic. It's very delicious. I bought the Saturday morning peach bellinis and mimosas. You know I love my mimosas, and they are top notch.
It's
friend.
literally orange juice and champagne. Why do you need
Well,
a packet? Why do you
When
need
it
a
comes
packet?
out of the pod, I'm in. And you hear the CO2 getting pumped in the. I'm in.
So, all right, you have already notched it. I made a list. I believe this was it might have even been last year or this past Christmas. I literally did for this channel. I did a 5 whiskey gifts nobody on earth needs. You've already gotten 2 of them.
Hell yeah! What the Nordic glasses?
Not
and
the
DrinkWorks
glasses
machine.
or whatever. I'm like, if you like a fancy looking glass, it's fine. My pet peeve is the blacked out thing.
Why?
Because if it's just like, dude, look at this matte black badass glass, fine. But they try to sell you on it as this, especially because they appeal to nerds like me. And like, oh, it's a total blind tasting. You don't see anything. It's literally just the liquid in the glass, just tasting and smelling. But here's the thing. Maybe Scotch is it's a little different, but like whiskey, it's brown, light brown, dark brown, copper brown, amber brown. I'm like, taking the sight away from me does nothing. And you charging $15 more to me means everything.
Take it so personally. They're not out to get you.
They are.
They're just saying we've got some cool products. You might like them. And
Well,
you're going, I hate you.
Get this. They're $10 a pop at any store, and they work better. It's way
Doesn't
cooler.
look as cool.
Way cooler.
It's not, but look
Got a
at
heavier base so you don't drop it like an asshole.
well, look at mine has cool like edges.
Ridges?
So that ridges.
What are those? What purpose do those serve?
It makes my fingers go around them better. I will never drop this in my life. Look at. Well, that's too much. Now you're just playing with fire.
Oh my god! Yeah. Wow. Okay. DrinkWorks.
And it's blacked out. DrinkWorks is the best, dude. I'm telling you, DrinkWorks.
So
is the best.
remind you don't add any. You don't have to do your own booze or anything. You just literally put the packet in. That's what upsets me.
Away it goes.
And that's what upsets me.
Why?
Because the whole point, if you want cocktails and stuff like that, you get the whole point is one. I get not wanting to be like, I don't want to have to chop every like a lemon or a lime squeeze it in. I get that to a degree. I like doing that stuff, but I get not everybody does. But at the very least, I'm a big fan of like pre-made cocktail mixers where I can at least choose the booze. Okay. Hashtag choose the booze.
Nice.
Because sometimes you want something strong. Sometimes I really like this whiskey. I really like that vodka or tequila.
Yeah.
It makes a great mojito or whatever. So instead of just this like weird alien flavor packet that just has a mystery alcohol that's like powdered down.
It's a pod. It tells you.
Is it branded? Is it like Avion fucking tequila?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't look. I just pop it in there. Away we go. But
it's
disgusting.
Also.
It might be, but also the drinks are very delicious and they're actually very strong. They make them strong. So they might have rubbing alcohol in them. I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know.
Well, all I know is they make a good peach Bellini.
Well, forget the Bellinis. We're going to try sample A. So frick me.
All right. In my Nordic glass.
In your Norland.
No, I'm pretty sure this was a Viking one. That's why I bought it.
I mean, I think the company is like Swedish or something, or Scandinavian or something.
Doesn't even matter to me. Show me where to sign.
First lesson Tyler Breeze ever taught me: nothing matters. So
This is another good lesson. If there's something in front of you, don't worry about reading it. Just sign your life away and move on.
As you've done with all your houses.
They're very funny closings. The people just go like, "You don't want to know any of this stuff." I said, "Nope, show me where to sign." I'm either getting the house or I'm not. You know what I mean?
I'll take care of it after that.
That's right.
All right. Well, despite your owning a DrinkWorks and everything like that, I'll take a little. So what the first thing you do when you want to drink whiskey like a douche like me, you can't see color because you have a cool blacked out glass.
Hey, it's a blind tasting.
Normally we look at the color, but hey, look, it's the douchiest word you can think of for brown. And then you take a little sniff. And the best way to do it, nose on the edge, keep your mouth open. And it won't punch you in the face as much if you keep your mouth open. So tell me, smell. Is it spicy? Is it sweet? Is it kind of like rich, sugary? What kind of things are you getting?
I feel like it's rich and sugary.
Okay.
This one I'm not getting. Yeah, I'm rich and sugary.
Yeah, is it like, it feels like it's really alcohol heavy, like really proof heavy, or is it kind of light?
I mean, it'll be like heavy enough, but I feel like it's more flavor than just like alcohol for the sake of alcohol.
Okay, it's not like punching you in the face with
no
a big burn on the nose.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Nah. What? So also you said there's a different. So what color would you say this is?
Amber. Like
amber's a good one. Amber's a good one.
Everything in front of me today is an amber.
Okay.
Yeah.
The B looks a little bit. It looks a little bit more brown than amber. This one's definitely like a darker one.
A little darker.
Yeah. C and A are pretty close, but A is definitely like the lighter looking one.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Fair enough. All right, so you give that. All right, now take a little sip. Don't just shoot it back, swallow it, let it sit on your tongue a little bit, swish it around, cut it with some saliva if you need to.
Mouthwash it.
A little bit. Again, similar to the nose.
Yeah.
Is it, same kind of things, or sometimes it's totally different? Sometimes it's the same.
So, good aftertaste on this one.
Okay.
I like it. So not as sweet as I thought it would be by the smell.
Sure.
But definitely good flavor on the back end.
Is it long? Is it like long lasting, or is it?
It's like a good little lingering taste. Yeah.
Okay.
Good little lingering taste. It is sweet. Not as sugary as I thought.
Is it spicy at all? Is it bitter?
Nah, no spicy.
Okay. Fruity, maybe?
Maybe a little fruit in there.
Okay.
That's not bad.
Take one more sip. Let it sit in your brain nodules. And we'll keep that in mind at the end. And try to remember some of the things you're tasting and smelling.
There's definitely, I feel like, there's definitely some fruit in there.
Yep.
Definitely.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
That's good though. I like that one.
Yeah. Okay, good. Again,
not bad at all.
Try to keep some of those notes in your mind as we kind of compare and contrast as we go.
I'll keep them all.
But calling way, way, way back, something I like to ask, like everybody, is pretty much like, of all the people come from wrestling are usually very multi-talented, usually because it's a thing that involves so many aspects of sport, and entertainment, and everything. So for you, young kid growing up in Canada, why? I guess the question is why pro wrestling? Of all the things you could have done, sports you could have played, jobs you could have done, which we'll get into a little bit. This man was a train conductor.
That's true.
Before, so how do you go from trains to wrestling? And what was it about wrestling that was yep, got to do it?
Well, so it was always wrestling for me. So I was always into athletic stuff in general. I played hockey for 10 years. I played all the sports at school. If it was an active activity and stuff, I was in. I just even playing games. At school, I couldn't wait for recess and lunch to play outside playing ball tag and all the stuff that you do as a kid. Run around, get your damn energy out. I loved activity and athletic stuff. To the point where I would even forget to eat and forget to do like random necessity stuff because I just want to like run around and play.
Oh yeah.
But then when I was a kid, I was downstairs playing video games or something, and my dad just kind of went like, "Hey, wrestling's on TV. You want to watch it?" And I said, "I don't know what wrestling is. What is it?" So like as soon as I went upstairs and watched it, I remember it was Superstars. So like it's Superstars. The only thing I didn't know anything about anything. I just knew that Superstars existed on Saturdays, and it was kind of a recap of the week.
Right.
And they had a couple matches on there, but they were just like real short, whatever. So it was Crush when Crush was in Nation of Domination. So it was like Jailbird Crush against British Bulldog. And I thought the British Bulldog was like the coolest dude in the world. I literally saw him and I went, whoa, hold on. What is this? Like these guys are beating each other up. And like Bulldog always had like really cool looking gear. So I was like, this guy is not only like, he's super jacked. He's got like wicked looking gear. He's beating this guy up, he's power slamming him. Like, this is cool. And then from then I was like I was literally like, I grabbed a VCR tape, popped it in, and I'd tape it. So every Saturday at like 3 p.m., I had to be there to press record on the VCR. And finally I had like, I don't know, like 20 tapes of just like random highlights and whatever. And then I had a friend who would be like, hey man, you want to like Monday Night Raw is on? And I said, what's that? And then so he'd record it every Monday because I didn't have cable. And then he'd drop the tape off on Tuesday and I couldn't wait for it. And I'd like watch it. Oh man, this is the coolest thing ever. And it just kind of went. So even as like, I loved playing hockey. I absolutely loved it. Which I think just the way I am, like I just don't, I'm very risky, I guess. Like I live on the edge of like, hey, if you want to do something, you can do it. Like I think in reality, I'm not the tallest guy. I'm not whatever. But if I really wanted to like make it to the NBA, I probably could have, because I think I would just put that much work into whatever I was going to go into. Sure. So like when I played hockey, loved playing hockey. I was fast. I could do everything required. If I really wanted to go towards the NHL, I think I would have. But just, I loved hockey, but I loved wrestling more. And so everything in my life, literally like when I was a kid, as soon as I started watching it, they went, what do you do when you grow up? So I'm going to be a wrestler. And then people would go like, you know, probably the same thing that you got, that everybody gets, where people who don't have like, you know, a dream of their own or whatever, they go, nah, you're not going to make it. And I go, okay, cool. Like, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but like, I'm not going to let it like bring me down or like deter me from it. I'm just going to, we're going to have this conversation like years from now. And I think I even made bets with people. Like people would go like, you're not going to make it to WWE. And I go, I bet you $20. And then like I talk to them years later. They go, "What are you doing now?" And I go, "Yeah, I wrestle for WWE." And they go, "Oh my God, I owe you $20." And I go, "Yeah, you do." Right?" But like, and I like teachers go out of their way to be like, "Hey, the chances of making this are like very slim." And I go, "Cool, but like I can also fail at like whatever job I choose to do. Like if I choose to work at a grocery store, I could do that for like 10 years maybe. But what happens if I get fired? I just failed at that job. So like, why don't I aim for the moon? And if it happens, it happens awesome. And if it doesn't, I'll probably get somewhere close to it. You know what I mean? But like, why just settle and give up
down here? Yeah.
Yeah. And even that's like everything I did was kind of aimed towards that. Like when I was growing up, like I had like jars that I had like labeled of like, okay, this is going towards my car. This is going towards my wrestling school. This is going through whatever. And every time I had like three $1 or like back in Canada, it was like a loonie or a toonie. If I had three of them, I put one in each jar. If I had 3 20s, I put a 20 in each jar. And like, by the time I graduated, I had enough money for wrestling school and I kind of went and did my thing, but like everything was geared towards it. To where even so like, and this sounds insane, but it is what it is. So I've never tried like drugs and stuff. I've never smoked pot. I've never done anything. The only thing that went through my mind of maybe why I should try smoking pot was because I had friends who did, and I knew that they would get like really hungry after. And I was a small guy and I went, well, maybe I should do it just so I can eat a bunch so I can gain weight to be a bigger wrestler.
Bulk up.
Yeah. And that was the only thing that went through my mind of like, maybe I should. And then I never did. But like everything I did in life, like of everything was always aimed towards wrestling. And so that was like, as soon as like, everybody's gearing towards getting done high school and stuff, they're like, what college are you going to? What university? I'm not going. I'm going to wrestling school because that's what I want to do. Okay, well, what if it doesn't work out? I don't know. I'll cross that bridge if I get there, I guess. You know what I mean? Like there's always other things you can do, but if I focus on a plan B, then I can't focus on a plan A. So like I'm prepared enough that I can be okay if I don't make it at wrestling, but 100% of my effort is going towards wrestling.
Yeah.
You know
so,
I mean?
all right.
And that's just how I've always been.
You had the jars.
Yeah.
And all your examples are, if I had $3, I'd put them there. If I had 320s, whatever. Yeah. What if you only had one? Which jar got priority?
So I wouldn't do it. I would hang on to it.
Oh, you'd wait till you had more.
I would only do it if I had threes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess that's kind of smart. So otherwise, it just stays in your wallet or something?
It just stays. Yeah. I wouldn't touch it. But every single time, no matter what, if it was 300s, I would put 100 in each.
No kidding.
It's just kind of like how it is. But it's literally like a jar on my dresser that has a tiny little like Sharpie written on it, whatever. And so like, you can't say that you can't save money or like you're going through, it's too hard for you. Anybody can make anything happen if you actually try. So like, I'm not a huge excuse person at all. Like, it's so easy to make an excuse of why you didn't do whatever you were going to do. No, instead, if you're going to do something, then do it because you can. It's just 100% up to you. If you don't believe you can do it, you're right. If you believe you can do it, you're right. Like, make it happen. Everybody has that story of like, I had it so tough. Everybody had it tough, man. Like, life is hard. Life is hard, dude. Like, it is tough out there. And I am such a tough love dude of like, no one's going to baby you. No one's going to go like, hey, you gotta try harder. You got to do better. Nope. Make your life good or enjoy having a bad life, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I just know that's even like you said, I worked on the railroad for a little bit. And I remember sitting there thinking, this would be a good career for like 20 years. But I don't know if I could do it for 20 years.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm giving up a little bit. Like, I'm giving up on what I actually want to do. And it's just that's how my mind works, I guess, right? But it would be really easy to go, I could have made wrestling, but I got a good secure job here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the worst. Coulda, shoulda, maybe.
Excuses, man.
Yeah.
Excuses. No excuses. Do what you're gonna do. Make your life how you want it.
Damn.
I'm telling you.
TED Talk time over here. Yeah. Goalcast over here.
Right? Come on.
No. But then, all right. But so then, and you freaking, you did it, like you just said. So and I'm sure I know you've told the story before. But give me like the boilerplate. How did the signing to developmental come about? Give me the elevator version.
Yeah. So the short version. So basically, I moved over to Calgary right after high school. So like I graduated in 2006. So that was June or July or whenever graduation is. In November, I moved over to Calgary, immediately got a job, started working. I started wrestling school in January, finished wrestling school in March, immediately started working the indies, but like not anywhere of importance, like literally just kind of cutting my teeth and gaining some experience across Canada. So kind of getting the wrestling bug in me and whatever. At about the 2.5, 3 year mark, I went, everything's kind of the same out here. So I should probably go to the source of where I want to be and have them tell me like, hey, you're missing this and improve this and we'll hire you. So at the time, FCW was doing like paid tryouts.
Right.
So they weren't seeking anybody out. You had to go like, hey, I'm paying money to come down there and you guys look at me and tell me what I need to do. So obviously my trainer, Lance Storm, worked for WWE. He had connections there. So I said, hey, should I go to this thing? He goes, let me reach out and ask. And he asked Norman and he asked Kidman and he asked a couple people and they said, yeah, send him down. So they sent me down. I went down, I paid my way. First time ever leaving like Canada, like just going on a plane and going wherever.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, I wasn't a big traveler. Like I didn't have a lot of money growing up, so I never traveled anywhere. Vacations were like, we're going to the lake for a camping trip and stuff like that. Like stuff that wasn't a lot of money, but also was like a lot of fun. But I just never had traveled. I had no clue what I needed to do to go to the States. So I put a plane ticket on there. I paid the fee or whatever to go down for the tryout. It was like a 3-day tryout. I made sure I talked to some people. I made sure and it was intimidating, dude. Like, you know how it is. I walked in there and there was like 60 people and I'm looking at guys that like, they're bigger than me. They're in better shape than me. And I'm going like, oh my God, like what have I got myself into? And within 5 minutes, I ruled out like probably 3/4 of them because I went, oh, I can work better than him. He's not very good. He's just big. Like, and I kind of went, okay, cool. So I went to that, saw how it was, wrestled some matches, did whatever, kind of got my first taste of WWE, and they hired Jinder. Jinder Mahal got hired out of that.
Oh, right.
And
okay.
So I went, okay, cool. Like, I get what it is. So I think 6 months went by and they were doing another one. And I went, 6 months really enough time to like improve? Like, did I make enough? So I asked Lance, I said, should I go back down? And he goes, let me ask. So he asked Norman and whatever. And Norman said, yes, make sure he comes back down. And I went, cool. So I paid again. I remember maxing out my credit card because at this point I paid for two of these things, the hotels, the flights, everything. And I wasn't making
those weren't cheap. Those tryouts.
No. I believe they were $1,500.
That's
just
for
the
tryout.
tryout.
Yeah,
that's not
wild.
including the flight from Canada, or the hotel for the week. So like I said, I think by the time I went to that tryout, because that was the second one, my credit card was about maxed at like 10 grand. And I went, if I don't make it here, I'm going to have to kind of like buckle down at work a little bit and like work this down because this is a lot of money. And so I went down and this time 80 people. And I legit went, oh my God, what is happening? And again, within the first 5 minutes, I went, oh my God, okay. No, hold on. I can do this. I can hang with these guys. I can do better than this, blah, blah, blah. One of the key factors for me was the people connection. So like Steve Kern remembered me. Dr. Tom remembered me. Billy Kidman remembered me. Like all these people, they remembered me from the first one because I went out of my way to go, hey, I'm Matt. I train with Lance, blah, blah. And then I actually did good at the trial. And they went, hey, we'll keep our eye on this guy. So I showed back up and they immediately went, hey, man, you're back down, whatever. I went, cool. So I remember after like the first day or two, I saw Steve and I was like, hey, man, I'm like, just checking in. Like, how am I doing so far? And he went, I don't want to tell you anything, but right now you're in my top 3. And I said, cool. Like, that's all I need to know. That's it. And so I remember like doing the tryout and everything. And there was one like moment in there where it kind of went through my head, but I didn't want to believe it, that I went, I'm getting hired. And we did a drill. And at the time it was Ty Bailey and Johnny Ace, and they were standing at ringside. And I ran a drill, whatever it was some little spot, like nothing crazy, but I ran it. I know I did it like well. And then I had long hair at the time and my hair tie came out. And I kind of like looked for my hair tie and Johnny had it. And he goes, hey, he goes, here. And he hands it to me and he goes, what number are you? And I went, 200 and whatever. And so he like pulls out the little booklet and they're looking and it flashed through my head. I went, I'm getting hired. And I went, no, don't believe it. Like, don't believe it. But I just like had a feeling. I don't know why. I'm just a very big like gut feeling person. And that one got me. So then we do everything. And at the end of the thing, I remember sitting there going like, all right. And the gimmick of the thing was like, they give one contract away at the end of the tryout.
Right.
But I remember sitting there going like, okay, I'm going to take what they tell me and I'm going to improve and I'm going to come back and whatever. Like I did good this time. And I remember them going like, all right, and the winner of this contract is Matt Clement. And I remember specifically like looking around and going,
who the hell is that?
And I went, oh my God, it's me. And I went, oh my God, it's me. And like, I went up to the front and it was like Dusty and Norman and Dr. Tom, everybody. And I went, oh my God, I got hired. This is really like, I got hired. This is no way I got hired. And so like we finished, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I end up like calling my mom at the time and she goes, how'd it go? And I said, oh, pretty good. I got hired. She's like, what? Like everybody went crazy. I was like, this is awesome. And I remember like, I got called into the office with Steve Kern and I went, Steve, not that I'm complaining, but like, why the hell did you guys hire me? And he went, honestly, he goes, it came down to 2 people. It came down to you and Tony Nese. And I immediately went, and you chose me? Like Nese is like identical to how he is now, like shredded, super athletic, can do anything. I went, how did I beat him? And they went, honestly, they said, because we didn't know who he was. He didn't talk to anybody. He didn't make those human connections that I made. And I went, oh my God, really? And he said, yeah, like there's guys who are like, yeah, they're in shape or they're athletic or they're big or whatever, but we need that personality. We need those people. Like we don't know who he is. And in the 80 people, he blended in. And I went, damn, man. Okay, cool. And like, that was why I got hired, which also a massive reason why I got hired was because we had to do matches on the fly. And at the time I was 3 or 4 years deep and I was not good at matches on the fly. And they paired me up with a guy named Pepper Parks, as you might know.
Oh, yes.
Who is now on AEW as Blade, I believe.
Yes.
The Blade, Bertrand the Blade. That guy I will always, and I tell him every time, I will always be in debt to because he's the reason why I got hired. He led me through that match like a baby. He held my hand. He let me look like a guy who should be hired, and I got hired and he did not. And every time I see him, I go, hey, you got me my job, dude. And I actually, the other day, it was fantastic. I had a student who he wrestled for AEW in an enhancement match and he wrestled Pepper. And I went, I love him. I said, tell him hi and like, tell him that you're a student of mine. And he went, cool, man. Like we've always been cool. But if it wasn't for him, I would almost say 100% I would not have gotten hired. He led me through like a true pro. He is the best.
That's awesome. I never heard that story from you. I never did realize that. That's really cool.
I was terrified of matches on the fly, dude. I couldn't do it.
Dude, it's intimidating.
Very scary to even talk, like just to talk and get things going. If you have, I need a direction. Like I need to know that like, hey, this is our destination. We're going here. And then I can do it. But if it's just a blank sheet of paper and I'm going on the fly, I'm going like, oh God. What's happening? What are we doing? Wrestle. Like it's terrifying to me, especially at the time. Not so much now, but it was back then. And if it wasn't for him, couldn't have done it.
Dude, I didn't wrestle a match on the fly until FCW as well. You know who led me through my first fly match?
Who's that?
Byron Saxton
Really?
in front of everybody.
My God.
It was like a little bit of like it wasn't like a rib on the nuke, but it was like we were just doing something in that main arena at FCW.
Sure.
And they're like, all right, we're gonna call 2 people and we're gonna do some matches together. And they called the new guy, and I was like, oh my God, I'm like,
yes.
I'm like 101 wrestler. I've been in the business less than a year.
Yep.
You know, I'm lucky to fucking be here. And Byron, and you know what? I bless his heart. He was actually very, very good at that same kind of thing. It was just like, all right, we're gonna do this. Take my arm here. All right, let's go to the buckle. Let's do this. And then he put me over.
Dude, so I don't know about you, but I used to dread those morning practices because I knew we'd come in, we'd stretch, we'd roll. Half of the time we were just trying to get Dr. Tom to filibuster to like make it through practice. But if you go, all right, we're doing matches today, like you'd come in, you'd stretch, you'd warm up, and then you'd have matches on the fly. And like, God, I hated it. I was like, please don't choose me. Please don't choose me. Please don't choose me.
But you know what's funny is like looking at that now is like I would rather with some time on your bed, I'd rather come in and if a 3-hour practice was especially when you have like a class of 20, 30 people.
Yes.
If we're doing matches and each match is 5-6 minutes, I'm like, you're gonna have to wrestle once. Maybe twice in 3 hours. I'm like, I'd rather do that than man in the middle or running blow-up drills for an hour. So I'm like,
God.
At the time, it seems so intimidating to do a match. You're like, oh my God, I'm gonna mess this up. It's all gonna be bad. Let me just do drop down drills. And now I'm just like, oh my God, let me work this. Let me work a practice 8-minute match or whatever where we work a chin lock for 3 minutes.
But also such different times and different points in our careers. Like, oh God. Now don't even talk to
I'll do a 5-minute match. Yeah.
Like, God. I'll
instead of drills.
Me and Dillinger wrestled for like 45 minutes the other day at school, just like having fun and doing rock bottoms and stuff because like we're just like, whatever, this is a blast. And we're like, calling out random stuff. Brett and Davey from Wimbledon, and there's fucking Sunset Flip and whatever. And then it's Austin Shaw from Mania 14. And we know exactly what the spot is. And it's just like
you guys have turned into Dr. Tom.
A little bit.
When he used to do the Ironmans with the guys sometimes.
Some of my favorite times. Him and Victor for an hour. Insane. Misses a moonsault at the hour mark. Oh my God, what a lunatic. Loved it.
Absolutely. Friggin' on that note, let's move on to sample B.
Whew. This will be the longest episode of all time, by the way.
Pretty close. I'm trying to think of
who. Ramble on, dude. We got history, man.
Yeah. Oh, we could. And like my whole thing is like I've been trying to. I'm like I want to be the regular podcast, like 45 minutes to an hour, and nobody is 45 minutes or like to an hour.
Oh, God.
Nobody. There's just so much nonsense to talk about, and then tasting through this ridiculousness. So number 2 or sample B, whatever.
Sample B.
Same deal.
So this one's a lot darker.
A lot darker in the glass. Give it a little whiskey. Open that mouth up. Ooh. That's what they said.
Wait, so hold on. So I don't know how you do this. If I open my mouth up, I can't breathe in my nose. Oh, never mind. I just did. Oh my God. I just have to do it one at a time.
This is what we're working with, people.
If I'm already breathing, if I'm already like sniffing, I can't open my mouth. Like,
yeah, you can't breathe through your mouth and nose at the same time.
But if I start off with my mouth open, then I sniff, then I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What a ridiculous. I can't turn left. So
how is this different from the first one?
So this is darker. I thought it would like smack me in the face a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually
no.
It doesn't really. It's almost like sweeter and richer.
Okay. That actually
less of that alcohol. Less of the alcohol.
Okay, a little softer maybe.
So is that what happens when it's darker? When it's darker, does it? Oh, really?
Not necessarily. Color comes mostly from the barrel, right? And what we're dealing here, without giving anything away, these are all bourbons. These are all American whiskeys.
Okay.
And unlike Scotch, which can use all kinds of different barrels to age, technically, American bourbon can only use brand new, unused charred oak barrels. So they've never been washed down with anything else. So like the color goes real quick. So even really young whiskey
Yeah.
is pretty dark, and then it can keep getting darker. So like the color differentiation in bourbon isn't a ton as it is in Scotch, depending which, Scotch sometimes ages in wine barrels, sometimes in bourbon barrels, sometimes in new barrels. So the color is kind of wildly different. But here they're all pretty similar. So it doesn't always mean older. It often can, but not always.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, I feel like it's a little sweeter.
Okay.
This one.
Go ahead and take a little sip.
Sweetness.
Yeah.
I was wrong. Not
really?
Sweeter.
Okay.
So this is stronger.
Okay.
Stronger with a tiny bit of spice.
Okay.
That one hit my mouth a little harder and not as strong of an aftertaste.
Really? So it's not lasting as long.
No, this was like as soon as it's in your mouth, it blasts you real quick, and then and then I feel like it's going to continue, but it drops off immediately.
Okay. Short. See, and I tell this to everybody almost. You're picking up on things that are like very, like accurate.
I'm a learned doctor, just like you.
Learned doctor of the alcohols.
That's right.
But yeah, no, like human, like all right, again, just because you're not dorking out like me every day, human instinct and taste, and these things are there's things you can pick up on that are pretty universal. So, is this rich? Is it richer at all though? Is there a little bit more body to it than the first one?
Let me give it another sip.
Let it dance on your tongue. Do you feel it in a particular, like a lot of the time, it's on like the tip of your tongue, the main, middle, the back?
I feel like this is a tip of the tongue. Like as soon as it's in your mouth, it's karate kicking you in the face.
Yeah.
And then it kind of goes away.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, definitely more of an aftertaste on the first one.
Okay. Good
this
to know.
Hit you hard out the gate.
And keep that again. Keep that
not bad though.
mental notes before we go to our finale. And before we go to our finale, before we got off FCW, I was gonna be remiss if I didn't bring up this. One of my favorite ever. It was NXT at the time or whatever, I guess. Yeah. NXT FCW Cocoa Loop matches was me and you in Cocoa Beach. I'll never freaking forget it. It was such a random booking.
Yep.
Because they weren't trying a lot of crazy wild stuff. It was pretty standard. Your babyface, heel, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I see me and you on the card, and you're doing the model gimmick as a heel. I'm doing the artiste gimmick as a heel. These both very colorful, kind of over the top characters who were bad guys, and we're one on one. And I'm like, okay, how are we gonna do this? And I don't remember whose idea it was, but we just had the most ridiculous match ever.
Fantastic.
Do you remember it?
Oh, I sure do. So I remember because I believe we saw it and we went, is this a mistake? Because like we're not heels. This doesn't make any sense. So we asked whoever the agent was at the time, and they went, no, like just you guys have a match. We went, okay. And then we were like, well, what if we do like something totally different where it's all just character? And then I think we even asked, we were like, is it okay if we do this? And they're like, yeah, like if you can make it work, make it work.
I think it was Terry.
It might have been Terry. And even like all the way up to the finish, because we were like, hey, would it be cool if we did this for the finish? Yeah, and he was like, yeah, I think so. And he let us do it, which fantastic. But like literally the entire thing was so different than any other match on the card. And like the stuff we did where it literally ended up where the referee said we were both losers and he walked out on us.
It was sticks to it.
Oh, it was the best. It was the best.
Because we were like, we're like, I'm not going to sit here like and try to put heat on you and like work a chin lock and all this stuff. And same thing, vice versa. We're like, it's just not gonna work. So I remember we were just both being our characters and like just literally going tit for tat on every silly thing. We literally, the spots I remember were like, we like wrestled something into the corner, got you up, and then we stopped the one guy. The other guy goes up on the second rope, jumps off with a double axe handle, and you get caught in an atomic drop.
That's
Like
right.
the guy's selling in the middle and just falls to a knee. Oh, the other guy jumps up. And then like the same thing. And then I gave you an atomic drop.
Yep.
And then it was like, shoot, duck one, double clothesline.
Yep.
Long ass sell.
Yes.
Both slow, like double down. Get up. Run, dip, dip, double crossbody.
Yeah.
Long ass
There was something. There was one part where we like were kind of backing towards each other and we bumped into each other and then like turn around and either like double punch each other in the face.
That was the finish.
That was the finish?
Because we both, it was after one of like the double things where we just kept running into each other.
Yep.
And we both crawled to the corner. I had the microphone, you had the cell phone.
That's right.
The selfie stick.
Yep.
And we did it. We were like punch drunk, backed into each other, turned around and like smacked each other with our like gimmicks and then just fell over. And Sticks just went down and was like, you know what? You're both losers. And just ended the match. Just ended the match.
Yep. That was great. That's what wrestling to me is about though, man. Once you like figure it out that the characters are what's important and you can have stuff like that. We actually, so you would have loved this too. In the same vein, the exact same vein, me and Dillinger just watched when I wrestled him in some random little Sebring town. And it was right when he was starting the 10 stuff. And I went, you know what? I said, like, my character's established to where we can help make this. Cause I think at the time they still weren't sold on the 10 thing. So like we had to show them the 10 worked. And almost the entire match was just like 10 stuff. And then my selfie stuff. And then a couple false finishes. And that was it. And I remember like, we loved that match because Terry, being Terry, was like, guys, like, what are you doing? Like, are you messing with me? Like, whatever. I said, Terry, just trust me on this. Just trust me. And we came back through the curtain and he was standing right there with his arms crossed. And I just went, oh God, like he hated it, whatever. And we come back and Ronnie's just like, oh God. And Terry goes, guys, everything in me wanted to hate that match, but the crowd loved it. So I loved it. And he put it over and we just went, really? And he goes, yeah, he said, it was great. You guys were doing all the stuff. You were doing all the gimmicks and like a couple little things in there. He said, what else do you want? Like that gimmick works. And I went, oh, cool. Like good. Because I was trying so hard at the time. I knew my stuff was fine because I'd done it a little bit and I was comfortable at it. But like Dillinger was on that, like figure something out or you might be out of here. And as soon as the 10 gimmick had some legs to it, he was off and running. And I went, cool. That was the whole goal of that match, was them to see it because they can't imagine it until they see it.
Yes. Yeah. And that is so much of wrestling, especially in those companies and everything. It's like people who are doing 8 million things. Like you can tell everybody your greatest ideas all the time. Yeah. Like, I've got this pitch. I want to do this and this and this. And it's like, great. But you need to show them. They need to see it in the flesh, some way, shape, or form. 100%.
Tyson Kidd had the best analogy for it. He's like, anything on paper sucks. Like if I go, hey man, I'm gonna have a goatee and have a bald head and come out in a vest and just black trunks and black boots and put my middle finger up all the time. They'd be like, well, that's gonna suck, but it's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? Or like, oh, I'm gonna cut the stuff up on my arms and then paint my face and like, you know, kind of do some stuff. Okay, well, that's Jeff Hardy. Okay, well, that, you know what I mean? Like, everything on paper sucks. They have to see it in the flesh, moving, living, and getting a reaction.
Yeah, dude, like Titanic on paper is just a boat sinking.
That's right.
You know, or something like you're right. It's true. Like until you really flesh it out, it's like, oh, this is what it can be.
That's right.
Yeah, 100%. So I asked somebody else this. Like FCW, NXT, we'll just call it kind of developmental that time.
Sure.
Fondest memory, least fondest memory.
Fondest memory of developmental. Oh wow. God, that is a tough question.
I feel like the work was always kind of hit or miss, but man, there are some great just like stories with and good times with the boys and the talent and everything like that. There's so many great memories.
So honestly, I think my fondest memory would have to be when we went to New Orleans for the first time. And we were all there working like all day, like 8 hours a day, whatever, having matches for access.
Yep.
But then at nighttime, I was discovering Bourbon Street for the first time, and I discovered Hurricanes, and I was having a blast. And it was like, I remember it was like me, Dillinger, Charlotte. I think Shaw was with us.
Oh, okay.
Shaw was with us. I think Tara was with us. Like, it was a good group of like good brothers. And we were just out having a blast and like enjoying our time at Mania. And I remember specifically the funniest thing was going to the airport to fly home. And everybody, I think it was like Mania happened. Everybody went out that night after Mania. And then the next day we were flying home early. And the airport lobby looked like a graveyard. Like
Oh God.
everybody was just dying on the benches.
Sunglasses
Like, oh
everywhere.
man, the sunglasses, sleeping. Like I was passed out on this thing. What a time. Like that was like the first time they let the NXT kids who'd been working their butts off out into the wild.
Yeah.
And like, it was just so fun. Like we had a blast, not only with the wrestling part, but just in the Mania experience in general. Cause I'd never been to like a Mania before that.
Yeah.
Like, I just wasn't. And now I'm at it as a superstar, doing signings, doing matches, doing whatever, and having a blast. And like, God, that was a good time. I think that was 100% probably my best time. My least favorite time was probably, I remember just being so frustrated that like, and I hate this, by the way. I hate when people are like, I never was given an opportunity. I was never given a chance. Like I was held down. Like, first off, that's a whole separate conversation, but that is such an excuse of like, hey, you don't know what you signed up for then. Like this, we sign a piece of paper for a certain amount of money to sit on the bench and get used if we get used. But if they choose not to use you yet, it doesn't mean I can just go on social media and just bitch and complain and go, I'm getting held down and blah, blah. Nope. If you're not okay with that, then quit your job, because that is what this is. It's a casting call. Sometimes they need you, sometimes they don't. And it's always a roller coaster. Like you're going to get used, but you can't stay at top forever. You're going to get cycled out, and then you're going to cycle back, and then you're going to cycle back. That's just how it goes. But like people are so entitled where they just go like, nah, I should have got this and you deserve this. No, none of us deserve anything. We're very lucky to be a part of it, and we're lucky if we get an opportunity, and that's it. If that opportunity comes, you better be ready and you better nail that. And then you might get more opportunities. But like that's just such a weird culture that's going on now. My least favorite time, and this is different, where FCW was very much a detached entity. Like we were very much on an island. You weren't in WWE. You were, but you weren't. Like, you know what I mean? And I remember at the time, I could not get going. Like, no matter what I did, I just could not figure this out. And I'm trying to figure out the system and I just can't. And I remember Norman telling me like, hey man, like I said, what am I doing wrong? Like, what's the deal? And he goes, you care too much. And I said, how can I not care? This is all I've ever wanted to do. Now I'm here. Like, I'm going to get fired if I don't figure this out. Like, what is happening? And he goes, you'll understand what I mean eventually. And I went, okay. And years later, I understood what he meant. You have to care enough so that when your number gets called and you have an opportunity, you look good, you're in shape, your gear looks good, your wrestling's on point, and you can do everything they need you to do. But until that point, you better detach and unplug, because you're just going to sit here and you're going to stew and you're going to stew and you're going to stew and you're going to get miserable and miserable and miserable and miserable and miserable. And then when your opportunity does come, you're going to be so bitter and mad, you're going to mess up your opportunity. And then you're going to blame everybody else and it's their fault, not yours. When in reality, you're putting all your eggs in the wrestling basket to make you happy in life. And if you do that, you will get made miserable every single time, because wrestling's job is not to make you happy. It is to give you an opportunity and give you freedom to do whatever you want in this world. You know what I mean? We are sitting here on a Thursday sipping on whiskeys because we got an opportunity from wrestling to not have to go and get a job immediately at a gas station or a grocery store or a train yard, wherever I worked before. I don't have to go back and do that because wrestling was very, 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 very good to me. So it's just, you have to recognize that. And that's what he means about don't care so much. Do not put 24 hours a day into your wrestling and going, oh, I want this to happen. I want this to happen. I want this to happen. In the end, it's not up to you. So make yourself happy and use what you're given to make yourself happy. And when your time comes, you better be able to hit a home run every single time.
It's such a, talk about things on paper, like that whole idea that a lot of people will try to sell you that ideal of like, it sounds good on paper, 24/7, go, never stop working, never stop doing that and everything like that. Always grind, constant. Yeah. And I'm like, it's just so unhealthy. Yes. And yeah, it will lead to misery. I'm like, you need to find a happiness, and that's my whole thing. Like philosophy in life, outside of wrestling, everything is like you have to find a balance.
Yes,
Like
100%.
my whole thing is, man, you live in the extremes. I feel like, yeah, okay, if you want that like extreme success, that freaking
Mhm.
Bezos, whatever kind of success,
Yeah.
maybe you'll get
Yeah.
it. You have to live in an extreme to get that. But I'm
Sure.
like, that comes with caveats, which means you're gonna be here and you're gonna be here
Yep.
and all this stuff. If you want to be like a happy human,
Yeah.
I think you can be a happy human and very successful. But you have to
Yes.
find you have to find a real life that makes you happy. You have to find
Yeah.
hobbies that make you happy. You have
Yep.
to find and it's not saying to not do the work, like you said. Like it still means
Yes.
being dedicated and putting the work in, but damn.
You
Find
still
some
100% have to put in hard work,
yes.
but just do not put your happiness in the hands of someone else or
Yeah.
something else. You know what I mean? Like you can't give that much credit to somebody or something.
Especially in wrestling, as we
God,
all I mean, God, especially if you're putting it on like creative, like I
yes.
need to be booked in XYZ scenario to be
That's right.
satisfied. It's like, oh,
Yes.
buddy.
You'll never, the thing is you keep moving the goalposts. You'll never
Yeah.
be happy. If you go, well, if I just got used on TV, then I'd be happy. Okay. And
you're
then
on
you get used
TV.
on TV and you go, well, if I was just, in a rivalry with someone. Okay. Well, if I just added like a title belt, then I'd be happy. Okay, cool. Well, then if I was in the main roster, like
Yep.
you're never, ever, ever going to, and actually me and Dillinger just had this conversation where he went, man, like, I kind of wish I enjoyed the journey a little more. Cause like you're so focused on the destination that you don't enjoy the years that just fly by and you go, oh man, like, yeah, I should have really just like reveled in this a little bit because it's gone, dude. It is gone. And like, it's not saying it like an old man, like looking back on our memoirs kind of thing, but like, just enjoy the damn journey. Like, don't be so focused on the end goal. You'll get there if you're putting the work in and if you do all the right things. But until then, God, just look around it's so funny as you get older. Like, I wonder if you're this way too. The old sayings that have been around forever, like old cliches, like stop and smell the roses. Damn, it is true. There's a reason why it still exists today is because it is so true, dude.
Yeah. It is. Perspective is everything. Pulling back and being like,
oh my God,
look at my life. Look at what's
Yeah.
going on, and like really appreciate the things around you.
That's
And
right.
even look, like, don't get me wrong. And me and you both lived through them. Like there were some, like, we'll take developmental as an example. Like there were
Sure.
some shitty times,
Oh God,
and like shitty coaches running the camp and everything. So like, don't get me wrong. Like those are not there. But I remember there was one time a Full Sail after NXT, and because I remember all the boys reacted. Hunter gave a speech or something about everybody working their ass to get up to Raw and SmackDown, but like he kind of did it. He's like, you're gonna look back on this time, and you're gonna one day you're gonna appreciate it, and you're gonna kind of miss it. You're gonna miss it, and because you're so focused on getting up there, and everybody's like, oh God, like just let me make more money and like get booked on
God,
Raw and
no.
all that. This place
Yep.
sucks and everything.
Yep.
And like again, like I said, there were some shit times there. But as we're kind of, I'm like, there was a lot of fun memories with the guy with your locker room and with
Yep.
like going to some of these small shows, as annoying as it was. Like there are some fond memories, a lot of fond memories.
Do you remember? And I know you do. Like when NXT really started hitting on all cylinders, our shows were untouchable.
Oh
like,
my God.
The card, top to bottom, my God. Like between the VODs, the Revival, Alpha, Murphy and Blake, like there was like a big group of tags.
Just tag teams, yeah.
Then you look at our singles and like every match was a main event. Like, oh my, and Zone Cast, like huge attractions that were everywhere we went. Like our card was fire, dude. It was fire, and everybody had that same mentality of like, we are building this thing and working our asses off. If you went to those shows, like especially those out of state ones, I remember going to like Albany, New York.
Oh yeah.
And remember the power went out. I was in the main. It was me, Kevin, and Finn, triple threat for the main. And I came out, and just as Finn was about to come out, the power went out. And so that Albany building was cooking anyway because there was no AC and stuff. But I'm standing in the ring, and there's sold out. There's 1 million people there, it feels like. And like it was kind of up to me to just like lead them while we kind of made this thing up. And I was probably in the ring for about 5 minutes. And I had them kind of doing some random stuff to take the focus off that we had some technical difficulties. And all of a sudden, Finn was like making his way out. and the music hit just at the right time for everybody to go, ah! And like all of a sudden we picked right back up, and I went, God, this is good. Like I'm in the groove as Tyler Breeze. Like everybody's a character, everybody's over, everybody's hitting. Like, God, we are doing. I never want this to end.
Yeah.
And it's just like, God, what a time, and what a fun time that was.
We always talked about because everybody in the locker room had that like kind of the rose-colored glasses of man, like the Attitude Era, right? We all kind of had those things.
Yes.
And but the one point that I really did like, because you could argue about how good the wrestling was and everything back then, but like the one point we would always bring up was like the great thing about that time, everybody was over. Like everybody had a character, and from the Godfather, in the Ho Train, which to Stone Cold, and everybody had something that the crowd was with and everything like that. And that's what NXT felt like at that time.
Big time.
It was like
big time.
Everybody had a character that everybody, Bailey and the hugging, to Finn, to you, to CJ Parker doing his Save the World gimmick and everything like that. Everybody had something that people knew. And like, so yeah, like top to bottom, the whole show, everybody was like invested in. So,
fantastic. What a time. What a time.
And on that note, let's round out this time with our whiskey. One last sample to go. Sample C. And we'll see how you like it.
Nice, dude. Nice.
Great transition. So same thing, taking everything into account that has come before.
So this is a lighter one.
Okay.
It's lighter. It's about the same as A.
Mouth open, little sniffsky.
Oh yeah, that's right. Doesn't feel as strong. Doesn't smell as strong as that second one.
Okay.
I think it'll be a little milder, and actually smells sweeter than the first one.
Really?
The first one smelled very sweet, but I think this
and you said the second one smelled sweet, although it didn't taste as sweet.
No, it was strong and not as sweet.
Okay. But this one might be
this one I'm guessing the sweetest, possibly the longest lasting aftertaste.
All right, well, let's see.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe
not strong, not sweet, spicy.
Okay.
Very, very spicy.
So almost like peppery spice in your mouth.
Yeah, that's a very strong, like spicy taste. Not alcohol, not an alcohol hit like the second one. This one is very much the flavor spice hitting you.
Okay, good. That's actually a really good note. Take another sip, let it sit. Is there any fruit to this one? Is it long lasting? Yeah, is this the same thing as longer finish, as we say? Or does it go pretty quick?
This one's long lasting. This was definitely a longer lasting one.
Okay.
So this one reminds me a lot of like, you've done wine tastings.
Mm-hmm.
So this reminds me a little bit of when they say like it has like that cigar, like that smoky,
tobacco-y almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one's got like a longer lasting, but that spice is very much like that cigar spice that wine can have. I
got that. Okay.
Yeah,
that actually.
And very long lasting. Very, very long lasting.
Yes. All right. So if you have to choose, 1, 2, and 3 with these, how would you rank them?
So I would probably put B in third.
Okay.
Just because that was the strongest alcohol, which I like the flavors better than just the alcohol for the sake of alcohol.
Right. Absolutely.
B felt like it was the strongest and my least favorite just because of the alcohol strength. C would be my second one because of the spiciness. It hits you hard. Like I would have to be in the mood for that.
Gotcha.
And A is more of like a sipping, like a milder, more relaxed kind of like just kind of hanging out with friends. I'd sip on that one. So that one, I think A is my favorite. C's second, B's third.
ACB.
ACB.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Then I will go in reverse order then. So I'll start with your least favorite. I'll start with B.
Okay.
And so B, so you kind of share a similar feeling that I do to these whiskeys, actually. It's kind of funny.
Okay.
So B is a whiskey called Larceny.
Yeah.
Larceny bourbon whiskey. It's from a company called Heaven Hill. This
Looks cool.
is their wheated bourbon. So it's called Larceny because there's this a whole story about people, back in Prohibition would steal things from rick houses, blah blah blah.
Wait, so this is B?
Yes.
So you said wheated, like wheat?
Yeah.
So wheat grain alcohol, like that's very strong.
No. So these are, this is all grain alcohol. But
there's like a grain alcohol that's really like alcohol.
There's Everclear, which is like 190 proof.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Which is all alcohol usually comes from grain, unless there are certain fruits and everything that like brandy is from fruit.
Sure.
But all whiskey is from grain. So bourbon, I'll start with it really quick. Bourbon is mostly corn, 51% corn. And then you can fill out the other grains with other things. Usually rye and barley.
Okay.
That's your standard bourbon. A wheated bourbon takes rye out of the equation and puts wheat in instead. So this is mostly corn, some wheat, and a teeny little bit of barley. And the idea with wheat is that it's sweet.
Okay.
Because the grain, wheat is a kind of a softer, less intrusive grain. Rye is very intense and spicy.
Gotcha.
And so that's why on the note, when you smelled it, it might have smelled a little sweeter and softer. But so what they say a lot of the time is wheat doesn't really taste like anything. It just basically gives way for the corn to come through. Whereas when the rye grain is in there, you're tasting a lot of the rye because it's very strong, very spicy.
Okay.
But I have found, and this is only 92 proof. So it is 46%.
Only 92.
Is that high?
Strong.
Is it?
That's high. 92. It's almost 100.
Wait, we're still going. These are low end for bourbon. So so I've always found wheated bourbons to be a little bit, even though they're sweet, I find them a little bit rougher. I find them a little bit more. They do kind of taste alcohol forward to me and everything like that.
Sure.
So even though they've become very popular, because people think they're sweeter and softer and everything, I think they're a little bit rougher around the edges, unless they're really, really good. So that was number 3 for you. Number 2, which was C.
See?
And so you thought that was the strongest.
Yeah.
So C, which is empty because I finished it.
Wow.
Wild Turkey 101.
Oh my God, Wild Turkey. So I've had Wild Turkey and it's very strong. I did not think that was Wild Turkey.
Yeah, 101 proof. So this is the highest. This is the strongest one you had today. This is one of my favorite whiskeys ever.
Wow, really? So you like the spice? You like the spice?
I love the spice. So this is a high rye. It even says it, high rye mash bill. There's a little bit more rye than in most bourbons, so it gives it that extra spice.
That's why it gives you the spice.
Yep, 100%. And it's a little bit older. It doesn't say, but the blend is usually a little bit older, so that's why it lasts a little bit longer. Usually there's more of that character in there and everything.
Sure.
You just froze on me, by the way.
What did I?
Yeah. I don't know if you hit a button on a camera or something.
I might just have to switch it. Switch to this one and switch back.
And then switch back? Yeah.
All right.
Mine does the same thing.
I don't know why.
But so Wild Turkey 1, it's 101 proof. So this, over 50% alcohol. So yeah, I'm saying this has the reputation. Oh shoot, it's Wild Turkey. That's the people everybody gets loaded on in college.
Yeah.
They do have a 81 proof version. So this is the 101. But it has a lot of that connotation. But I'm telling you, even though it's because it's cheap too, it's like $25.
That's why we used to drink it all the time.
Right. But it's this weird, it's one of the few dichotomy like ones where it's like it's a cheap price point, but the actual whiskey for like nerds like me is really high quality. Yeah. So, and that I meant to say that's the theme of what I try to do a theme with everybody. And so with you, I kind of went like bottom shelf heroes. So yeah, this one is usually this is about $25 on the shelf too.
Okay. And
then your favorite, the winner, which again makes a lot of sense for some of the stuff you said, is Four Roses, regular old. Like we call this Four Roses yellow label, even though it's like tan.
Sure.
You used to have a yellow label. This is like the entry level Four Roses. Four Roses makes a couple different things, but this is like their entry level bourbon. This is regular old 80 proof, like most most of your vodkas and everything like that. So it's much lighter. a much more watered down than other things. This is a medium rye mash bill, so like you weren't getting a ton of spice. It's also lower proof.
Yes.
Age is
Milder.
Yeah, it's very mild. There's a very good like sipping whiskey. It's not going to be very strong. I probably wouldn't use it in a cocktail because it's not strong enough to compensate for all the sugar and stuff. But it is a really nice light, especially like in the summertime. If you really wanted to sip a whiskey, because it's light, it's sweet, and it's not. Yeah, it's easy drinking.
That's what I figured.
And this is like, I think this is like $20 a bottle. So bottom shelf heroes for Breezy here, and no, you like I said, you made some like you picked up on like the spice and the lasting finish of this.
Yeah.
You picked up on this being sweeter, but then on the taste, again, I have the same thing. It's a little rougher around the edges.
Yep.
And then this one is very light, mild, and easy sipping. And it is for reasons.
That's right.
So. Look at you. You know more than you.
I told you, man. I know some things.
You're a doctor of alcohols. But before we go, we have some rapid fire questions from our Patreon, patreon.com/wrestlingwithwhiskey.
Oh God.
They get the exclusive opportunity to ask all our guest questions. Some of them strange and weird. So first up, we have Stephanie Jassic's got two. She's got a funny question and a serious question. Okay. She goes, who's the more iconic band, Scrantonicity or Mouse Rat?
Oh, Mouse Rat, 100%.
Good 100%. Answer. And their more serious question was, based on comments made by your former colleagues, they regard you as someone who's a go-to to give honest and fair critiques of their in-ring work. What has that meant to you, and was that a deciding factor when opening Flatbacks?
So I've always liked teaching people. I've always liked the actual process of, like I said, watching the light bulb go off. I feel like not all people who are good wrestlers are also good teachers. I feel like I can kind of translate it, especially at the time, like when I was teaching certain people like Bailey, Sasha, Charlotte, Becky, like that group, we were all kind of figuring it out together, but I had figured out the system a little bit different because, guys and girls have a little bit different journey through WWE. So I could kind of like clue them in on certain things that they didn't really know. And like I said, I'd literally be watching at the curtain, just going like, oh God, yeah, they're doing it. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. But for me, like my goal has never been to like, and people have certain theories on this, but my goal has never been to be like, I want to be WWE champion or I'm a failure. Like I always wanted to just be a wrestler. Like if I got to be a professional wrestler for a living, mission accomplished. And then to me, it's so much more important that like, hey, you went 10 years without ever winning a title or whatever. Cool. Like if you tell me like, hey, you're winning a title today, I'd go, cool. If they said, hey, you're losing in 2 seconds today, I'd go, cool. Like, I don't care. But to me, that respect from my peers is the whole reason why, like, if I walk in somewhere and I see my opponent look at the card and go, oh yeah, nice, I got Breeze today. Then I go, cool, man. Like that to me is like, hey, they want to work me and they like working me and they have fun and I have fun and they're safe and I'm safe. Hell yeah. That to me means so much more than being like, hey, I was the champion for a week or whatever. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? So that to me is huge. And yeah, I mean, when you're opening up a school and stuff like that, passing on the teaching and everything else is awesome. But especially to have people that I've worked before be like, hey, this is where you want to go. Like, if you want to learn how to do it, go to this guy. That to me is huge. That's the biggest compliment there is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hands down. And I do tell everyone, please, like if you're looking for a school in the States, check out Flatbacks. Eric Smith said he asked Dilly the same question. He goes, who was the worst driver when you, Dilly, and Corbs would travel together?
Dilly, 100%. Who did Dilly say? Who did Dilly say?
Oh God, I'll have to look. I should have researched. I'll have to look back. I'll
bet
check
he
out
said
the
me.
episode. He might have
100% Dilly.
Why?
100%. I watched him one time. There's like he's going along the highway. There's the exit over here. He just goes in like that little yellow cone of like, hey, make a decision. And he's just heading straight towards like the ending. And I go, where are you going, man? Like turn one way or another. He's like, I don't know where to go. And I was like, well, stop. Like, what are you doing? That or he'd be the guy. He's a hothead too. So like he'd be driving and like half a mile up there, some guy like goes in and he's like, hey, he just cut me off. I'd be like, dude, you're not even anywhere close to him. Like, calm down. So Dilly, 100%, no doubt in my mind.
No question.
No question.
It has been thrown down. Dresden Nova wanted to know, one of my favorite bits of your NXT days was how you kept getting billed out of different seasonal residences from different countries. First, whose idea was that to sell that? And then also, if for bonus points, can you name all the cities you were billed from?
God, no. So I believe, and I don't want to take credit if it's not mine, but I believe it was my idea because we were just kind of trying to make everything different, right? So it was like they had the Tyler Breeze has entered the building, Tyler Breeze has left the building. They took that from Shawn Michaels when he used to do it, and then I was like, where should I be from? And they was like, what if you're from everywhere? So then like it was kind of like a collaboration of like whatever it was. But so I would kind of make it a mission of Saxton at the time was like I think the announcer, and he'd go, where do you want to be from now? And I go, surprise me tonight. So it was like kind of fun little game where he'd find some place and he'd go like, as I'm walking out doing my entrance, I'd be like looking at him and he'd be like, from, wherever. And I'd go, oh, good one, Sax. And he'd be like, yeah. He's like, you like that one? I said, yeah, it was great. So it was like a fun little game between me and whoever the announcer was of like, surprise me. You come up with it tonight.
Yeah. Guy Taylor wanted to know, how was the match with Liger set up? Was it very quick, kind of spur of the moment, or did you know about that long in advance?
No. So Liger's was very different to where like I was kind of running out of people to work. And so I went like, who am I working on the next takeover? And nobody would tell me. And Finn actually came up and was like, hey man, he's like, so you're working Liger. And I said, what? I said, he doesn't even work for the company. And two, how do you know? And he goes, like, I was like, are you kidding? And he goes, no. He goes, Liger trained me. And he goes, they had me reach out to Liger to see if he'd be interested in coming over. And I went, oh my God, really? And he goes, yeah. I said, that's kind of cool. I said, so he is doing it? And he goes, yeah. I said, okay, cool. So I knew before anybody else knew. And then they didn't tell me until like the day of the show. They were like, hey, you're going to have like a quick enhancement match. And then Regal's going to come out. He's going to announce who you're against. We're going to put the graphic up on the screen. It's going to be Liger. And I went, cool, man. So then like we did the thing. They flashed the Liger thing. I went, that's cool. And like that was it. It was kind of like very last minute of like, hey, you're working this guy. I went, cool, man.
Yeah. Or at the very least, yeah, they didn't tell you till the very last minute, right?
Yeah. It was like literally day of, or day of when we announced it, kind of thing.
Right. That taping or whatever, right?
Yep. And then I never met him. I never met him until Brooklyn, when I met him in catering randomly. I saw some guy who's not normally there, and I went, hey man, like, is it me and you tonight? And he goes, oh yes. He goes, please put the whole match together. I don't know the style. And I went, okay. So I like put the whole match together. I think we ran over one thing, and that was a tilt-a-whirl. He went, tilt-a-whirl? I said, yeah. And he goes, just do a cartwheel in front of me. And I said, okay. So I just kind of ran and like jumped into the cartwheel. He literally just went like this, and he went, yep, that's good. No, cool. I said, anything else? He goes, no, we're good. I said, cool, thanks.
I sat next to him on the bus. He was like the nicest guy.
He was awesome.
Like,
he was awesome.
Legend. Like this guy who could, is like on the level of like of some of the best in Japan.
Yep.
And it's just sitting in the back of the bus, like minding his. It was so cool.
You would never know it's him. If you would never know if it's him, like the aura of him, and then the actual person, he's the chillest guy ever. It's awesome.
Yeah. And finally, Derek Hamilton wanted to know: is there a costume or entrance that you wish you had gotten to do with any of the characters, any of the presentations, but didn't get to?
So I remember for the match with Liger, I had kind of like an Egyptian style gear. And I kind of had like a whole like Egyptian theme for like an entrance. And then by the time we got there, they were like, hey, we already have an idea for you. It's like this fashion show. It's all about New York or whatever. I'm like, cool, man. Like, that's just kind of, I can have an idea, but in the end, it's going to be what you guys want me to do. So if you guys are still hiring people to come in, dress up like the Empire State Building and all this other stuff, and having me do this awesome entrance on pay-per-view to kick off a show in Brooklyn with 15,000 people, who am I to go, no, I want to do this idea? Like, no, I'm in. Like, cool, I get to do this. Thank you so much. Awesome.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to all of our patrons for their questions and everything like that. And thank you to Matt, to Breezes, for joining us. Thank you for sitting through my delectable little doctorate tasting thing here, of course.
I love it.
Usual podcast mumbo jumbo. Upcoming plans. Where can people find you? When are you doing stuff? Give it to them.
So for the most part, follow me on social media, Instagram and Twitter at gorgeous with 3 M's. That's still me. Also, we are streaming all the time at twitch.tv/the Sweets Live, Sweets with a Z. We got tons of stuff going on there. Super busy. Flatbacks Wrestling School. If you're thinking about becoming a pro wrestler, flatbackswrestlingschool.com. Check it out. We got tons of stuff on there as well. And what else, man? You can catch me on Up Up Down Down. I'm still on Up Up Down Down doing some stuff. So we got lots going on, and that's kind of where I'm at. You know what I mean?
And maybe if you're looking to rent a house in the Central Florida area, you might be in luck as well.
You never know.
I hear there's a great slumlord there who's ready to
That's
offer
right.
you something.
That's right. That's right. Prices are going up, jerks.
The rental market is huge.
That's right. That's right.
Well, everybody, you know the deal. Always be trying new things, expanding your horizons. Hey, and like we said, stop, smell the roses, have some perspective on your life, and always, always, always be wrestling with whiskey. We will see you on the next one. Cheers.